Krishna. We welcome all of our YouTube live listeners and our Facebook live listeners. Welcome to all of you to this one of Sri Bhagavatamrita. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Natamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajanabhaya Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesh Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Vakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam Tatra Dharana Paraha Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Radhanatha Swami Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Niti Namine Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaurakatha Dhamadaya Nagara Grama Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangurlangayate girim Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurung dinatarinam Paramananda madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hare Krishna. So before we start today's session, we would like to congratulate the participants from the quiz session from Friday. So from YouTube, we'd like to congratulate Janeshwar Gauranga Prabhu, Barshana Chitra Mataji, Geeta Varadarajan Mataji, Rekha Mataji, and Rajeshwari Mataji. Congratulations to all of you. And we thank you for participating. From Facebook, we'd like to congratulate Ranjani Gopika Mataji. Thank you so much for participating. We are very grateful to all of you for your consistent participation in the quiz sessions. So today we are going to cover chapters 68, 69, and 70. So this chapter 68 is entitled The Marriage of Samba. So the session, the previous session, we all know how we meditated. We ended our session on the meditation, on the beautiful meditation of Lord Balaram. So now we are carrying on a little bit more about the glories of Lord Balaram. So this chapter 68, describes how the Kauravas had captured Samba, who is one of the sons of Krishna. If you may recollect, he's the son of Jambavati Devi and Krishna. And how Lord Balabhadra, he dragged the city of Hastinapur to secure the release of Samba. So Samba, who is the darling son of Jambavati, he kidnapped Duryodhan's daughter Lakshmana. Now this, there's one of the queens of Krishna, whose name is also Lakshmana. Now this is the daughter of Duryodhana, whose name was also Lakshmana. And it is said that Samba came to Hastinapur and he kidnapped Duryodhan's daughter Lakshmana from her Swayamvara assembly. So it is said that Duryodhan once was, organizing the Swayamvara of his beautiful daughter Lakshmana. And of course, no one from Dvārakā had attended. But Lakshmana, her beauty, her qualities, her glories was, far reaching. So Samba, this queen, the son of the queen Jambavati, and Krishna's very dear son, was attracted here listening to the glories of Lakshmana. So he immediately came to Hastinapur and he took her away from her own Swayamvara ceremony. So in response to this, the Kauravas, they joined forces and they came to arrest Samba. And it is said that Samba actually held all of the Kaurava armies single-handedly for some time. And 6 warriors of the Kaurava party deprived him of his chariot. They broke his bow to pieces. They seized him, they tied him up and brought him and Lakshmana back to Hastinapur. So it is said that amongst these 6, these were some of the senior members, and of course Duryodhan, Dushasana, all of them were there. So Samba fought with them for a very long time, but then they finally captured Samba and they brought him back along with Lakshmana to Hastinapur. So immediately this news, traveled to Dvārakā. It is said that when King Ugrasena heard of Samba's capture, he called upon the Yadavas to immediately retaliate. And angered, they prepared to fight, but Lord Balaram, he immediately pacified them. And he said that let's not have a quarrel between the Kuru and the Yadava dynasties. Let's not do that. So Lord Balaram said, let me try to handle this on my own. So the Lord immediately set off for Hastinapur, Lord Balaram himself, together with some Brahmanas and some Yadava elders. Lord Balaram went to Hastinapur. So the party of Yadavas set up a camp in a garden outside the city. So Lord Balaram, he said that I will not go directly inside the city and go directly and, look at Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana. I will not go directly. So, Lord Balaram, he set up a camp in a garden right outside the city of Hastinapur. And Lord Balaram, he sent Uddhava, as his messenger to just try to find out what kind of, frame of mind is Dhritarashtra in. So when Uddhava appeared in the Kaurava court, announced Lord Balaram's arrival, the Kauravas immediately, they came because, Duryodhan was very dear to Lord Balaram. He had in fact learned his, to fight with a club from Balaram also. Lord Balaram was very, affectionate towards Duryodhan. So the Kauravas, headed by Dhritarashtra, Pitama, Bhishma, Duryodhan, everyone, they came with Uddhava and they came to see Lord Balaram and bringing auspicious items with them to offer to Lord Balaram. So in the Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada writes, while he's talking about this particular section, Srila Prabhupada writes that the leaders of the Kuru dynasty, especially Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, were very joyful because they knew very well that Lord Balaram was a great well-wisher of their family. There were no bounds to their joy on hearing the news, and so they immediately welcomed Uddhava in order to properly receive Lord Balaram. They all took in their hands auspicious paraphernalia for the reception of Lord Balaram, and they came outside the city gate to see Lord Balaram. So this is how Srila Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book about this particular section. So then it is said that the Kauravas, they honored Lord Balaram with rituals and items of respect. But as soon as Lord Balaram, he conveyed King Ugrasena's demand that they release Samba, the Kauravas became very angry. And, they said, it is very amazing that the Yadavas are trying to give orders to the Kauravas. This is like a shoe trying to climb atop one's head. It is from us alone that the Yadavas have obtained their royal thrones, and yet now they are presuming themselves as our equals. No longer will we extend to them royal privileges. So this is all falsity, actually. Is it really a fact that it is because of the Kauravas that the Yadavas have a throne? No. These are false statements. When false statements are spoken, why are they spoken? They're spoken out of pride. When pride enters into a person's mind, when they are so proud of the power that they possess, they feel that this entire world is running because of them. That is the illusion of pride and power. So the Kauravas, especially headed by Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana specifically, were talking all this nonsense. That as if, everything that the Yadavas have, that Krishna and Balaram have in Dvārakā, is because of the Kauravas. That's not even a fact. It's nowhere near a fact. It's not the truth. But when people, Srila Prabhupada points this out in his Krishna book, that he says that when people are so proud of their power and, they become so proud, they make such false claims. This is the nature of pride. This is the nature of, when one gets blinded by power, blinded by their pride, they make such false statements, which has no head or toe, and such offensive statements. Like they are saying, Duryodhana said that this is like a shoe trying to climb atop one's head. Just because Lord Balaram said, yes, let me take Samba back with me. So, Duryodhana is saying like this. He forgot the relationship that he has, the loving relationship that a guru has with the disciple. Duryodhana forgot all of that. He thought that, Lord Balaram is coming, and therefore now Lord Balaram will be on my side, and he's going to now launch an attack on the other people of Dvārakā. That was Duryodhana's crazy idea. That was his expectation, his crazy expectation. But Lord Balaram didn't do any of that. Lord Balaram just asked, that Samba should be released, and that Lord Balaram should take Samba and Lakshmana to Dvārakā. And as soon as he said that, Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra got agitated, and they made such crazy claims. This is totally spoken out of pride. This is totally spoken out of, the misuse of, the kind of power that they have. This is crazy talk, just crazy talk. So when, having said in this way, the Kauravas went inside their city, and Lord Baladev decided that the only way to deal with those who are maddened by false prestige is through brute punishment. This was the decision of Lord Balaram, that when someone gets maddened, this is going crazy because of false prestige, because of false power, because of, so much pride. This is all going crazy. So the only way to deal with such people is through brutal punishment. That was the decision of Lord Balaram. So he took his plow, and intending to rid the earth of all the Kurus, he began dragging Hastinapur towards the Ganges. Now this is way before the Kurukshetra war. So Lord Balaram, he decided that now I'm going to rid the Kurus of the face of the earth. Imagine, there would be no battle of Kurukshetra. The Pandavas would not have been insulted. Draupadi would not have been insulted. She would not have to go through the crazy ordeal that she had to go through. She's a faultless person. So all that could have avoided. So Lord Balaram's desire was that he just wants to, rid the Kurus from the face of the earth. That was his desire, Lord Balaram's desire. So that's why he just took his plow, he, hit on the land of Hastinapur, and he started dragging Hastinapur because he just wanted to immerse it into the Ganges. So seeing that this city is in imminent danger of falling into the river Ganges, the terrified Kauravas quickly brought Samba and Lakshmana before Lord Balaram and began to glorify him. In Hindi there is a very wonderful saying that घी जब सीधी उंगली से नहीं निकलती है ना, तो उंगली टेढ़ी करनी पड़ती है. So टेढ़ों के साथ टेढ़ा होना पड़ता है. With the crooked, you need to have crooked kind of dealings with them. So if Lord Balaram, if he would have gone and pleaded, the Kauravas would have, their pride would have just increased more and more. But Lord Balaram just saw it fit to punish them brutally. So he just dragged them to, into the Ganges. He was pulling the entire city into the Ganges. That was the power of Lord Balaram. And immediately the Kauravas came to their senses. Immediately they just said, "Oh, Lord Balaram, please, please, please forgive us. We realize who you are. We realize your magnanimity, my dear Lord Balaram. Please, here's Samba. Here's his wife, Lakshmana, my own daughter. Please take them. Take them with you." And then they started glorifying Lord Balaram by saying, "Oh Lord, please, please forgive us. We are so ignorant of your true identity." So do we really think that the Kauravas did not know the potency of Lord Balaram? They knew the potency of Lord Balaram. But what happens is that in pride, all that gets covered. It just gets covered very easily. That is the nature of this material world. You see what happened with Indra. Indra, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead had taken shelter in Devaki's womb, in Mother Devaki's womb, the demigods headed by Lord Brahma, Indra, everybody came and offered suitable prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Devaki Mata's womb. So they knew very well that, Lord Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is about to appear. Krishna Chaitanya. They knew that very well. But in spite of that, Lord Indra, when his, worship was stopped, that was like a needle prick into his inflated ego that he could not tolerate. And immediately what did he do? How did he react? He started pouring torrential rains upon Vrindavan. And Krishna saved all the Brajbasis. Everyone was saved by Krishna. Govardhan Giridhari Lal Ki Jai. Krishna held up Sri Giriraj Govardhan for 7 days and 7 nights, protecting all the Brajbasis. And then Indra realized, oh, this is someone very special. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he didn't even have face to come in front of Krishna alone. He sought shelter of Mother Surabhi. And with Mother Surabhi's care, he came and begged forgiveness from Krishna. And because Mother Surabhi recommended, Krishna forgave Indra. So that was done. Indra recognized the supremacy of Krishna. He coronated Krishna as Govinda, the protector of the cows and the brahmanas. He did all of that. At that moment, Indra was fully aware, fully knowledgeable about the complete potency of Krishna. Then recently, when we heard the pastime when Narakasura had taken the earrings of Indra's mother Aditi and Varuna's umbrella and all of that, and there was so much atrocities that Indra was facing, he came and approached Krishna and Dvārakā that, please Krishna, only you can save us. Only you can help us. Please help us. So Krishna came and killed Bhaumasura. He did that. And then he came and returned. He came to the heavenly planets. He returned the earrings and all the possessions that was lost by the demigods. He returned it back to Indra. And what did Krishna do? He just took an insignificant Parijat tree amongst the many Parijat trees that were already there in Indra's garden. He took only one. Krishna took only one Parijat tree. And he brought that and he wanted to give it to his wife Satyabhama. What did Indra do? His pride was immediately affected. That why should Krishna take my property? How can he take my property, something that belongs to me? He forgot, immediately forgot who Krishna is. That is the nature of pride. That is the nature of false prestige. That it just blinds us. Immediately it can happen. That one moment we are, good, one moment we are evil. That is the nature of material world. That is why, Krishna fought with Indra and he defeated Indra, again deflated his ego. So Srila Shukadev Goswami is saying we don't want to be such demigods, such crazy demigods who have such, power and they forget the supremacy of Krishna. We don't want such, crazy position. We don't want that. We don't want such kind of thing which makes us forget about the supremacy of Krishna. That is the mood of a devotee. That is why Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna consciousness means that it is a moment by moment surrender to Krishna. We have to choose to surrender to Krishna every moment of our life. Because Maya is constantly enticing us. Constantly. She's always saying, please, please, my dear devotee, you're so nice. You come and give me this one moment. Very beautifully, Srila Radhanath Swami Guru Maharaj explains this. He says that Maya is so expert. She gives beautiful reasonings, very justified reasonings, that this one moment you give to me, my dear devotee, and the rest of your life you can give it to Krishna. So the devotee says, yes, I was tired. Last night I did not sleep properly. So therefore it's okay. I can sleep in today. It's fine. The mind, Maya wins. And then as soon as we give in that one moment to Maya, we will not even realize how our entire lifetime is gone in the service of Maya. That is how powerful she is. But a devotee who is surrendered to the spiritual master, they give a counter proposal to Maya. What is that counter proposal? They say, my dear Maya, please allow me this one moment. This one moment, let me serve Krishna. Then my whole life I will give to you. So this is what the devotee keeps telling Maya every moment of their day. That please Maya, this one moment, let me give to Krishna. Then I will come to you. Then Maya realizes that this is sincere devotee. Mahaprabhu says, Krishna je bhaje she bada chatur. So that is the kind of, devotional service, devotional attitude, devotional mood that we need to have in order to, always be on the receiving side of Krishna's mercy. We should be, prepare ourselves in such a way that we should always attract the mercy of Krishna, not deflect the mercy of Krishna. That should be our mood. So here we see Lord Balaram, he was so angry. And then the Kauravas, they immediately came and said, no, please, my dear Lord Balaram, we beg for forgiveness. We are so ignorant that we forgot your true nature. We forgot about your glory. So please forgive us. So then the Kurus, they admit that Lord Balaram's anger was entirely appropriate. And in fact, it was meant for their benefit. They realized that too by the mercy of Lord Balaram. So as, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains it, that the Kurus, they mean to say that because you exhibited your anger, Lord Balaram, we have now become civilized. Whereas previously we were wicked and could not see you, blinded as we were by our pride. This is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. That we had become blinded by our own pride. And, we were previously so wicked that we told such things to you. such horrible and harsh things to you. But now we have become civilized. So as soon as, Lord Balaram did this act, the Kauravas, at least momentarily, they became civilized and they offered Lakshmana and Samba. They returned them both back to Lord Balaram. But you see, when the pride is not uprooted from the root, and when they don't have proper association, then pride creeps back again. So that's why we see that Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, because they were always with the crazy association of Shakuni and who are always envious towards the Pandavas, their, wickedness came back again. It was not uprooted completely. So it came back. So then, but rather, we'll see that later, what happened later. But Baladev, in return, he assured the Kauravas that he would not harm them. He said, okay, you have taken shelter of myself. So now I assure you, I will not take you into the Ganges and drown you all. And Duryodhan, he, being assured by Lord Balaram, he presented various wedding gifts to his daughter and new son-in-law Samba. Then Duryodhan, extending his greetings to the Yadavas, he requested Lord Balaram to return to Dvārakā with Samba and Lakshmana. So text 53 and 54, which is the conclusion of this chapter, says that then Lord Halayudha entered the city of Dvārakā and met with his relatives, whose hearts were all bound to him in loving attachment. In the assembly hall, he reported to the Yadu leaders everything about his dealings with the Kurus. So even today, Srila Shukadeva Goswami concludes in text 54, the last verse of this chapter. Shukadeva Goswami says that even today, the city of Hastinapur is visibly elevated on its southern side along the Ganges, thus showing the signs of Lord Balaram's prowess. So Lord Balaram had actually dragged the southern side and brought it near the Ganga. So till today, when we visit Hastinapur, we can see that the southern side is a little above the ground level and it is much more nearer to the Ganges. Shri Balaram ki jai. So this brings us to chapter 69, entitled Nārada Muni visits Lord Krishna's palaces in Dvārakā. So this chapter relates how Nārada Muni was amazed to see the household pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna and how he offered prayers to the Lord. So after killing the demon Narakasura, Lord Kṛṣṇa had simultaneously, we know, that he married 16,100 queens. Krishna Chaitanya. And sage Nārada wanted to observe the Lord's diverse activities in this unique family situation. So that's why one day, Nārada Muni came to Dvārakā. So in Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada, very beautifully describes the city of Dvārakā, the opulence of Dvārakā. So in the Krishna book, in this chapter, Srila Prabhupada writes that being inquisitive as to how Krishna is managing his household affairs with so many wives, Nārada Muni desired to see these pastimes and so set out to visit Krishna's different homes. When Nārada arrived in Dvārakā, he saw that the gardens and the parks were full of various flowers of different colors and orchards that were overloaded with a variety of fruits. Beautiful birds were chirping and peacocks were delightfully crowing. When peacocks cry out, their sound is like, sham, sham, sham. That's how peacocks, cry out. So this was the way the birds were chirping. The peacocks were delightfully crowing. There were tanks and ponds full of blue and red lotus flowers. And some of these sites were filled with varieties of lilies. The lakes were full of nice swans and cranes, whose voices resounded everywhere. In the city, there were as many as 900,000 great palaces built. Not 16,108 palaces, but there were 900,000 palaces, which were built of first-class marble with gates and doors that were made of silver. The posts of the houses and palaces were bedecked with jewels such as touchstone, sapphires and emeralds, and the floors gave off a beautiful luster. The highways, the lanes, the streets, the crossroads, and marketplaces were all beautifully decorated. The whole city was full of residential homes, assembly houses, and temples, all of different architectural beauty. All of this made Dvāraka a glowing city. The big avenues, crossings, lanes, and streets, and also the thresholds of every residential home was very, very clean. On both sides of every path there were bushes, and at regular intervals there were large trees that shaded the avenues so that the sunshine would not bother the passers-by. So we see how there are, it is said that when the sun would go down, it is said the moonshine, the beam, the rays of the moon would glitter the stones, and they would be enough to just make the entire city of Dvāraka glitter. There was no need of any lamps in Dvāraka. The city was so bright even at night. And the trees gave natural shade to anyone to protect them from the sunshine. So beautiful. This city, this is the description by Srila Prabhupada in the Krishna book. So Narada Muni, he entered one of the 16,000 palaces, and the first palace he entered was the palace of Srimati Rukmini Devi. And immediately, when he entered, he saw that Rukmini Devi was personally rendering menial service to Sri Krishna, despite of her being in the company of millions of maidservants. Even in spite of so many maidservants being at her disposal, she could, sit with Krishna, be the queen, enjoy everything. But no, she was rather serving Krishna personally. And as soon as Lord Krishna noticed Narada, he got up from his bed, he offered obeisances to the sage and seated him on his own seat. Then the Lord bathed Narad Muni's lotus feet and sprinkled the water on his head. Such was the exemplary behavior of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada writes that Krishna, he shows, that how a grihastha should welcome, sages and sannyasis, devotees, Vaishnavas into their home. That when, devotees come, immediately offering them a good seat, washing their lotus feet, sprinkling the water on our head, drinking that water, which washes the lotus feet of the pure devotees. This is the kind of way that we need to greet the devotees of the Lord. And this example was set personally by the Lord himself. Just imagine, Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, and the goddess of fortune herself, Rukmini Devi, both of them menially washing the lotus feet of their dearmost devotee Nārada. Such is the love that Krishna has for his devotees, that Krishna can wash, himself, he can wash the lotus feet of his pure devotees. So then, after conversing with the Lord for some time, Narad Muni went to the second palace, where the sage saw that Sri Krishna was playing dice with his queen and with Uddhava. Going from there to another palace, he found Krishna was coddling his infant child. Krishna was playing with his little infant, with his own children. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that in virtually all the palaces that Narad Muni visited, so Lord Krishna honored him in each and every one of those palaces. So in Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada explains that when Narad Muni arrived at the second palace, Lord Krishna acted as if he did not know what had happened in the palace of Rukmini. So when in the second palace, when Narad Muni came, Krishna said, "Oh, Narada, you're here. Please come." And just as if he's seeing Narad Muni for the first time, with his second queen again, Krishna again washed Narad Muni's lotus feet, again greeted him in that same way, served him in that same way. When he went to the third palace, Krishna did the same thing. He acted as if he did not know that, Narad Muni was visiting all the palaces. That is the beauty of Krishna. That although he knows everything, but to just give pleasure to his devotees. You know, it is said that, Krishna displayed such magnanimous pastimes, beautiful pastimes. So Lord Krishna acted, Srila Prabhupada writes, that Lord Krishna acted as if he did not know what had happened in the palace of Rukmini Devi and in the other palaces. So Narad Muni understood that Lord Krishna was simultaneously present in all the palaces, but he was performing different activities in every single one of them. So in another palace, he saw him preparing to take a bath. He saw that Krishna was about to go and take a bath. In another, he was performing fire sacrifices. In another, he was feeding the brahmanas. And in another, he was eating the remnants that was left over by the brahmanas. In one of the palaces, the Lord was performing noontime rituals. In another, quietly chanting the Gayatri mantra. In another, he was sleeping on his bed. In another, he was consulting with his ministers. And in yet another, he was playing in the water with his female companions. Somewhere the Lord was giving charity to the brahmanas. In another palace, he was joking and laughing with his consort. In yet another palace, he was meditating on the super soul. Somewhere he was serving his spiritual masters. In other palace, he was arranging for the marriages of his sons and daughters. Somewhere else, he was going out to hunt animals, and elsewhere, he was moving about in disguise to find out what is happening in his city of Dvārakā and what the citizens are thinking. So, having seen all of this, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur addresses. He says that Narad Muni, he tells Krishna that only because, my dear Krishna, I have served your lotus feet, can I understand these varieties of your Yogamaya potency, which ordinary living beings bewildered by illusion cannot even begin to perceive. So therefore, I consider myself very fortunate. I simply desire to travel all over the three worlds, chanting the glories of your pastimes would purify all the world. This was what Narad Muni was feeling, so grateful. So this vision, this was revealed to Narada because of his desire to see the Lord and the Lord's desire also to show it to Narada Muni. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also points out that the other residents of Dvārakā could see Krishna only in the particular part of the city that they themselves occupied and not everywhere else. Even if they would sometimes go to another precinct on some other business, they would not be able to see Krishna simultaneously in different places. They would not be. Thus, the Lord gave a very special view of his pastimes only to his beloved devotee Narad Muni. So it is said that Srila Prabhupada explains this in the Krishna book. Srila Prabhupada says that, like we just read, that somewhere in the noon, Krishna was feeding the brahmanas. Then, he was chanting his Gayatri. Some places he was taking rest. Some places he was performing the marriage. So these are activities that were happening in different times of the day. So Narad Muni, when he was visited the first palace, it was morning time. Then it slowly became mid-morning time. Then it slowly became noon time. Then evening time when he comes to the Sudharma assembly. Then in the, early afternoon, Krishna goes out to hunt in the, kingdom. He goes out to hunt the animals. And then in the evening, in the dark, Krishna goes out in his city disguised as a perfect king would do, just to find out what the citizens are doing. So Krishna would go and see whether everyone in Dvārakā is happy or not. So this way, so Narad Muni was able to see an entire day of Krishna, what Krishna is doing. And all of this Narad Muni saw simultaneously. Narad Muni was able to see this. So Sri Krishna asked Narada not to be confused by this vision of the Lord's transcendental opulences. And he described to him the purpose of his appearance in this world. Krishna described to Narada. He then honored the sage properly according to religious principles, and Narad Muni departed, continuously meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what was the purpose that Krishna said that I have come? I have come just to, give pleasure to my devotees, to protect my devotees. That was what Krishna said to Narad Muni, and to always just protect them and to give them the pleasure of my association. And by the way, I also take care of killing some unwanted demons. So this was what Krishna told Narad Muni as to be the purpose of his coming to this world. So text 45 says, Lord Hari is the ultimate cause of universal creation, maintenance, and destruction. My dear king, Shukadev Goswami is saying, anyone who chants about, hears about, or simply appreciates the extraordinary activities the Lord performed in this world, which are impossible to imitate, will surely develop devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of liberation. So in this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given various meanings for the word Ananya Vishayani. So this term may indicate that the Lord performs, activities in Dvārakā that were very unusual, even for his plenary expansions, like the incarnations of Krishna, what to speak of any others. Even any incarnation of Krishna has not done these kind of, or manifested these kind of, super, super excellent pastimes. Or the term, the same Ananya Vishayani, this same term can be understood to indicate that the Lord performed these activities for the sake of his pure, exclusive devotees. In any case, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that one who recites or hears accounts of these pastimes will certainly be engaged in Krishna consciousness. And so that ends Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's statement. And Srila Prabhupada also writes in this connection. Srila Prabhupada said that certainly such a person will find it very easy to traverse the path of liberation and taste the nectar of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada further points out that the word anumodate here indicates that one who supports a preacher of the Krishna consciousness movement will also receive the benefits that are mentioned here. So these are the, this is the last verse, text 45. So these words, anumodate and ananya vishayani, are there in this text of text 45 of this chapter. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that we, even those who support, what to speak of a preacher definitely, receives the benefit, but a person who is even supporting a preacher, even they get the benefit. So how beneficial is this, just reading or just listening or just, hearing to these nectarian, super excellent pastimes of Leela Purushottam Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So with this, we come to the last chapter of the day, which is chapter 70, entitled Lord Krishna's Daily Activities. So this chapter describes Sri Krishna's daily activities and two proposals which were placed before Krishna, one by a messenger from Dvārakā and another by the sage Nārada himself. So texts 4 and 5 says in this chapter that Lord Madhava, it is said, Shukadev Goswami is saying that Lord Madhava would rise every day during the Brahma Muhurta period and touch water. With a clear mind, he would then meditate upon himself, the single self-luminous, unequaled and infallible supreme truth, known as Brahman, who by his very nature ever dispels all contamination. So he manifests his pure and blissful existence. So Krishna, he gets up every morning and he meditates upon himself. Who else would Krishna meditate upon? And when he means, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a very beautiful explanation that what does it mean that Krishna meditates upon himself? He means that he meditates upon himself and he meditates upon the personalities who are related to himself, which means his dearly beloved devotees. Krishna would meditate on the love of the Brajbasis every single morning. So that's what is meant by this particular statement. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that. Text 6 That most saintly of personality, Sri Krishna, would then bathe in sanctified water, dress himself in lower and upper garments, and perform the entire sequence of prescribed rituals, beginning with worship at dawn. After offering oblations into the sacred fire, Lord Krishna would silently chant Gayatri mantra. So you see how Krishna is setting the example of an ideal householder. Srila Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book that these are the activities that a proper householder should, a grihastha. Grihastha ashram means where we seek shelter. So grihastha means that, grihastha means thahi, in the house, one who resides in the house. It's not grihamedhi, means it's not a dark well filled with material illusions. But grihastha means where the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the center of all activities. So Krishna is showing by his own personal example, Srila Prabhupada says in this chapter, that how ideal grihasthas should maintain their daily routine. So text 7 and 9, Srila Shukadev Goswami says that each day the Lord worshipped the rising sun and propitiated the demigods, the sages, the forefathers who are all his own expansions. Propitiated matlab, worshipped, means worshipped. So the self-possessed Lord would then carefully worship his elders and the Brahmanas. To those well-attired Brahmanas, he would offer herds of tame and peaceful cows with gold-plated horns and pearl necklaces. These cows were also dressed in fine cloth, and the fronts of their hooves were plated with silver. Providers of abundant milk, they each had given birth only once and were accompanied by their calves. Daily the Lord gave many groups of 13,084 cows to the learned Brahmanas, together with linen, deerskins, and sesame seeds. Every day, Krishna would give 13,084 cows to the Brahmanas every single day. We can imagine the opulence of Dvārakā. Just this proves the opulence of Dvārakā. That what kind of opulence Krishna has. He's the master of all riches. So 13,084 cows every single day Krishna would, give in charity to the Brahmanas. Text 10, Lord Krishna would offer obeisances to the cows, to the Brahmanas and demigods, his elders and spiritual masters, and all living beings, all of whom are expansions of his Supreme Personality. Then he would touch auspicious things. Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagadhitaya Shri Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. This is Krishna. He worships the cows and he's the benefactor of the cows and the Brahmanas. Then text 11 says that Krishna would decorate his body, the very ornament of the human society, with his own special clothes and jewelry, and with divine flower garments and ornaments and ointments. So why divine flowers? Because the Parijat flowers were also part of Krishna's garland. So that's why it's called as divine flower garlands. Text 12, he would then look at ghee. What are the, sometimes the question can come in our mind that in text 10, what are the auspicious things that Krishna would touch? So here are the auspicious things that Krishna would touch, which is explained in text 12. He would then look and touch ghee, mirror, the cows and the bulls, the Brahmanas and the Devatas, and see to it that the members of all the social classes living in the palace and throughout the city were satisfied with gifts. After this, he would greet his ministers, gratifying them by fulfilling all their desires. Text 13. After first distributing flower garlands, pan, and sandalwood paste to the Brahmanas, he would then give gifts to his friends, to his ministers, and to his wives. And finally, he would partake of them himself. So here, Krishna would not only give the gifts to his Brahmanas, but every day Krishna would also gift his friends, he would gift his ministers, and he would gift his wives. Every single day he would give gifts to his wives also. And finally, he would get gifts himself too. So text 14, by then the Lord's driver, what is the name of Krishna's driver? Is Dvārakā. So by then the Lord's driver would have brought his amazingly opulent chariot, yoked with Sugriva and his other horses, Krishna's 4 horses. So his charioteer Dvārakā would bow down to the Lord and then stand before him. Text 15, holding on to his charioteer's hands, Lord Krishna would mount the chariot together with Satyaki and Uddhava, just like the sun rising over the easternmost mountain. So Krishna, along with Satyaki and with Uddhava, he would, holding on to Dvārakā's hands, taking help of Dvārakā's hand, Krishna would climb upon his chariot. Text 17, the Lord attended by all the Vrishnis would then enter the Sudharma assembly hall, which protects those who enter it from 6 waves of material life, my dear king. So here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Prabhupada in the Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada writes this. He says that it may be remembered that the Sudharma assembly house was taken away from the heavenly planet and was re-established in the city of Dvārakā. The specific significance of the assembly house was that anyone who entered it would be free from the 6 kinds of material pangs. What are the 6 kinds of material pangs? Which is hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. Again, hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. This is the quality of the Sudharma assembly of Sri Krishna. So these are the waves of material existence, Srila Prabhupada says. And as long as one remained in that assembly house of Sudharma, he would not be affected by these 6 material waves. This is what Srila Prabhupada comments on this particular verse. And in this regard, Srila Sridhar Swami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explain that when Lord Krishna would exit separately from his 16,108 palaces, each individual form would be visible to the persons present on those palace grounds and to the neighboring, neighbors, but not to others. Then at the gateway of the Sudharma assembly hall, all the 16,108 forms of Krishna would merge into one single form, and after becoming one, Krishna would enter into the Sudharma assembly hall. This is how, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains the Lord's daily activities. That when the Lord would leave from the 16,000 palaces, he would be 16,108 forms. But just before coming into the Sudharma assembly, all those forms would come into one and Krishna would enter. And then again, as soon as he would come out from the Sudharma assembly, again as 16,108 Krishnas, he would go to his different palaces. So beautiful and so amazing are these qualities and these beautiful pastimes of Sri Krishna. Such a beautiful meditation for all of us, for every moment of the day, how we can meditate on these daily activities of Krishna. So it is said that on one occasion, Srila Shukadev Goswami says that the doorkeepers escorted a messenger into the assembly hall, and the messenger offered prostrated obeisances to the Lord, and then standing with joined hands, addressed Krishna. O Lord, Jarasandha has captured 20,000 kings and is holding them as prisoner. Please do something, for these kings are all your surrendered devotees. So this was the first message that Krishna received about King Jarasandha. And just at that very moment, Nārada Muni also appeared. And Sri Krishna and the members of the Sudharma assembly immediately stood up and offered obeisances to Nārada Muni by bowing their heads down. And the sage accepted a, elevated seat. And then Krishna gently questioned Nārada Muni. And my dear Narada, since you travel over all the universes, please inform us what the Pandava brothers are planning to do. It's as if Krishna knew for what reason Narada has come. Before Narada could even say anything, Krishna directly asked, what are the Pandava brothers doing? So then Narada then praised the Supreme Lord and replied that King Yudhishthir desires to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. For this he requires your sanction and your presence. So many demigods and illustrious kings will come just to see you. So Yudhishthir Maharaj has sent, this invitation to you, my lord. Please come. So understanding that the Yadavas actually wanted, all the ministers, they wanted, Krishna to, defeat Jarasandha rather than go to Indraprastha to attend the Rajasuya sacrifice. Krishna, he asked his wise minister, Uddhava, to determine which of the two matters at hand. One is go to, defeat Jarasandha. The second is go to, Indraprastha for Yudhishthir Maharaj's Rajasuya sacrifice. So which of this should he attend first? So this question he asked Uddhava. So text 45, Shukadev Goswami said, when his supporters, the Yadavas, objected to the proposal of Nārada out of eagerness to defeat Jarasandha, because we can understand, that Jarasandha is a long-standing enemy for the residents of Dvārakā. So naturally, they were saying that Krishna, let's just go and defeat Jarasandha and finish his story once and for all. So that's why they were so eager that Krishna should go and take care of Jarasandha first. So Krishna, Lord Keshava, Shukadev Goswami says, he turned to his servant Uddhava and smilingly he addressed Uddhava, saying, so in this verse, Srila Prabhupada, he explains in the Krishna book, that just before the great sage Nārada arrived in the Sudharma assembly of the house of Dvārakā, Lord Krishna and his ministers and his secretaries, they had been considering how to attack the kingdom of Jarasandha. But because they were now considering this serious subject, Nārada Muni's proposal that Krishna should go to Indraprastha for Yudhishthir Maharaj's Rajasuya sacrifice did not much appeal to the Yadava ministers. So therefore Lord Krishna could understand the intentions of his associates, because he is the ruler of even Lord Brahma. He knows that what his, the ministers are having in their mind. So in order to pacify them, he smilingly spoke to Uddhava. This is how Srila Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in this regard, he points out that the Lord smiled. Why did Lord smile? There's no gesture of the Lord which does not have an explanation. So the smiling of the Lord also has a very proper, purpose. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur reveals it, saying that the Lord smiled because he was about to demonstrate Uddhava's brilliant ability to give counsel in difficult situations. That's why Krishna, he just said, whoa, I'm not getting into this. Here one side is saying this, one side is saying this. Now it's time for me to show the greatness of my devotee Uddhava. So that's why, whenever Krishna wants to do anything to glorify his devotees, Krishna feels so much happiness. And that's why Krishna smiled. Because Uddhava's, a brilliant ability to give counsel in difficult situations was about to get demonstrated in the assembly hall of Sudharma. So this chapter ends by saying, text 46 says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Uddhava, you are indeed our best eye and closest friend, for you know perfectly the relative value of various kinds of counsel. Therefore, please tell us what should be done in this situation. We trust your judgment and shall do what you say. So the last verse of this chapter says, Shukadev Goswami is concluding that thus requested by his master, the Supreme Lord, who is omniscient, but he acted as if he was perplexed or confused. So Uddhava took this order upon his head and replied as follows. So what Uddhava replied, we will see tomorrow in the session which Prabhu will speak on. So here, Uddhava knows perfectly well that Krishna knows everything and he has already decided what he wants to do. But still, he's acting as if he's confused. So even Uddhava gives a very beautiful response to this question of Krishna's, which we will see tomorrow. So with this, we come to the end of today's session. If there is anything, any questions or comments or reflections, we can take that now. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So before we take any questions, we will discuss the quiz questions to today's session. We have 9 questions today. First question, what did Balaram do to make the Kauravas civilized? Second, how many palaces were there in Dvārakā? Third, what was Krishna doing in the second and third palaces that Sri Nārada visited? Fourth, what is the purpose of Krishna's appearance? Fifth, what is the falastuti of devotees who hear the accounts of Krishna's pastimes in Dvārakā? Sixth, who would Krishna meditate upon after waking up? Seventh, how many cows would Krishna donate to the Brahmanas every day? Eighth, what are the 6 pangs of material life that one would get rid of in the Sudharma assembly house? Ninth, why did Krishna smile after asking Uddhava to counsel the devotees? So these are the questions for today. I see a question by Radha Krishnan Prabhu. In Dvārakā, there were many temples. Which deities were worshipped in those temples? Well, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that there were deities of Lord Shiva, Shivalinga. There were deities of, of course, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Vishnu was also worshipped. So like that, these 2 names are mentioned. So I hope that answers your question. I'm just trying to see if there's any. Yes, I see Janeshwar Gauranga Prabhu having a question. Why was Lord Balaram favorable to Duryodhan, although he was a demon? You see, Lord Balaram, he knew that Duryodhan had good qualities. He was actually, Duryodhan is explained to be someone who was of a he would get influenced very easily. So when he was with Lord Balaram, he actually approached Lord Balaram to learn how to fight with the club, with the gada. That's why he came to Lord Balaram. And because he approached Lord Balaram with great humility, so that was the reason why Lord Balaram had that affection towards Duryodhan. It's not that he was favorable to Duryodhan, like the serials in Mahabharata they show. It was not that he was favorable to Balaram, but he was affectionate, because Duryodhan, he gets influenced. His nature is that whatever kind of association he was under, he would get influenced very easily. So because while he was with Lord Balaram, he was very submissive to Lord Balaram, and he learned the art of fighting with the club very wonderfully from Lord Balaram. And Lord Balaram declared that, yes, you are a very good fighter, very good fighter. Lord Balaram personally trained him like that. But at the same time, as soon as he came out of the association of Lord Balaram, he again fell into the demoniac mentality association of, Shakuni, Dhritarashtra, all of them. And his enviousness again towards the Pandavas was his greatest demon of all. So that's why, he was a very, that was how his, reaction was to association. So it was not that Lord Balaram was favorable to Duryodhan. He was just, affectionate as a guru, to Duryodhan. I hope this answers your question, Prabhu. Okay, I'm just going to see if there's any more questions. Okay, I think. Okay. Gandharvika Gopi, Mataji. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Goswamis visited Dwarka or any pastimes, please, with Mahaprabhu. Uh, as far as I know, in Dwarka, I don't know of any pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Dwarka. Um, I really don't know about it. It's a very good question, but I don't have, unfortunately. It is said that, okay, so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he traveled, in his South India trip. It is said that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled as far as Cape Comorin, and he visited Dwarka, Mathura, and Vrindavan, his Krishna cities. It is said that. Um, So that's all is mentioned, but details of how Mahaprabhu visited and what he experienced in Dwarka, or the Goswami's visit to Dwarka, I've not heard of that. So maybe we can do some research on that. So Gita Varadarajan Mataji, why Duryodhan's crooked mind was not uprooted completely by Lord Balaram? Because if that was happen, then how would the battle of Kurukshetra take place? So there is a particular time for doing everything. There's a particular way of doing everything, even, and there has to be the desire. I mean, if Krishna wants, we can all become pure devotees like that, but it is all up to us, how much, what we want. I mean, love, Srila Prabhupada said, cannot be at gunpoint. You cannot say at gunpoint, love me or I'll shoot you. They'll say, yes, yes, I love you. But that's love out of fear. And Krishna doesn't want that kind of love. So Lord Balaram, he knew that the only way that it could be uprooted is when, his ego is crushed completely and he's going to be finally defeated by Bhima. That's when his ego is actually going to be, uprooted completely. So Lord Balaram knew that this is supposed to be happening in this way. So, you know, the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not interfere with the free will of the living entities, you see. So that is the reason why that Lord Balaram also did not interfere. If Balaram, if Duryodhan would have wanted that, yes, my Lord, please purify me, I am, having these kind of impurities in me, and please help me get rid of this, then Lord Balaram would have definitely done that. But Duryodhan never desired that. He was very happy in living in his parallel world, of, having that envious nature towards the Pandavas. He was very happy and he was always sulking about it. That was his greatest happiness. So, what can be done? So, I hope that answers your question, Mataji. And thank you, Gandharvika, for your comment. Thank you so much. We'll just check the Facebook if there's any comments or any questions there. We'd like to thank Ranjani Gopika Mataji, Prem Vikas Prabhu Devyangi Mataji, Uma Mataji, Pushpa Priti Mataji, Shiva Mataji, and Ram Prabhu, Pramod Kumar, Maitreyi, Shama Supriya, Kamal Gopika Mataji, Radha Reddy Mataji, Radha Padavi Mataji. Thank you all so much for joining us over Facebook. And on YouTube, we'd like to thank, of course, Shama Supriya, Meena Mataji, Lalita Mataji, Rajeshwari Mataji, Swati Mataji, Madhubhashini Mataji, Soumya Mataji, Barshana Chitra Mataji, Keshavi, Shweta Manjari Mataji, Rekha Mataji, Janeshwar Goranga Prabhu, Sudesh Prabhu, Gandharvika Mataji, Ma Baba, Radhakrishnan Prabhu, thank you for all joining in. Lalita Mataji, Gita Varadarajan Mataji, thank you all so much for giving us your online association. We take your leave today. We will look forward to seeing all of you again tomorrow. Thank you all so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Vartaman Guru Vrind ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanande. Hari Hari Bo. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.